Brianna Grier's loved ones will gather for her homegoing ceremony the same week they released independent autopsy results. It shows Brianna died from head trauma. She fell from a police car when she was handcuffed. Her loved ones will say goodbye at the service, but there are a lot of difficult days ahead. Attorney, activist, and NAACP President Gerald Griggs is joining us. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for having me.
You're going to be with Brianna's family at her homegoing. How are they doing? It's been a really significant week.
It's definitely been very tough for the family, not having full answers about what happened to Brianna, and also having to tell her 3-year-old daughters that she's not coming home. And they keep asking every single night, "Where's my mother? Where's my mother?" And the family really has no answers except for the limited information that the GBI has given them that allegedly Brianna fell out of a police car where the back door was not fully closed. So, it's a very difficult time for them. Her family is, of course, shocked and saddened, but they're resolved to keep fighting to get justice and accountability and answers for what happened to Brianna Grier.
The need for those answers is why there's going to be a march for justice after the service. Talk more about that.
Yeah, so the family called on the activist community, called on the entire community to come join in demanding more resources and more care for mental health community here in Georgia. They passed the mental health legislation, but it's been unfunded. So her family wants to have a march to the state capitol to make her the face of mental health in Georgia, and the fact that it's unfunded, and the fact that they need more resources. And so they're going to have that march. And this would never have happened to Brianna if a crisis intervener had to come instead of law enforcement. And that's what's needed. Georgia's 48th in providing resources for mental health, and we have to address that. So they're going to take her directly to the people that can make change, and that's the state capitol.
You make such an important point, because Brianna was having a mental health crisis, and that being addressed as a medical issue could have been the difference between her being home with her 3-year-old girls right now.
Absolutely. And what people need to know is it's not the first time that Brianna has had an episode. The 4 other times that she had an episode, the ambulance was called, they responded, they were able to stabilize her, they were able to provide her with medication. But this time, the Hancock County Sheriff's deputy showed up, and ultimately Brianna ended up succumbing from her injuries in their custody and their care 6 days later.
This week, Brianna's family released those independent results from the autopsy. It could be several months before the official autopsy is released. When you look at that report done by a pathologist that also worked on George Floyd's case, what do you see? What stands out to you?
What stands out to me is the level of trauma that she sustained. And I'm very concerned how someone that small could sustain such damaging trauma, and it has not been explained. And I understand that, GBI has a lot of cases to work on, and it takes a while to get the full medical examiner report. But the expert from Michigan was able to make a determination. She died from severe blunt force trauma to the head. We need to know why she had that severe blunt force trauma to the head, and that's a question the GBI has to answer. And this should be a top priority for them. I know, again, they have a lot of cases, but when you have a young lady, a mother, who dies in the custody and care of law enforcement, that should go to the top of the list so you can provide them answers immediately about what happened to their loved one.
And the family's been asking to see all of the police body camera video from the night that this all happened. Is there any progress there?
No, we've not heard from the GBI after the first initial preliminary report, and that's concerning. We do know that there's a possibility of more dashboard cam, more body worn cam, more information about what actually happened before and after the camera that they released. And so we want all of that for this family, because the family deserves answers. The GBI works for the people, and it's time for them to be transparent to the people in the process. And so that's what they're asking for. And we at the Georgia State Conference are supporting their resolve to get questions answered.
The homegoing service is upon us, a finality for her loved ones, for her 3-year-old daughters, but it's just really the beginning in so many ways. What else do you feel needs to happen to get Brianna's family those answers they deserve?
I think more elected officials need to step up. I think the community is doing a great job of organizing around this. Many local and regional and national activists, many individuals who care about the justice movement will be present at the homegoing service, and we will continue to amplify her name. But it's time for the elected officials, it's time for the people in power to understand that there is a police brutality problem in Georgia, and it needs to be addressed. And so I think the next step is for our elected officials to recognize that a Black woman was brutalized in this state, and it calls for us to organize and respond the same way we responded in Brunswick, Georgia, when a young jogger was gunned down.
Brianna's family and her kids now connected to others who've lost loved ones in police custody. Have they talked to or heard from any of those other families?
They have, and we expect that Breonna Taylor's family will be present at the homegoing service. And I know that the families in Georgia are in the process of reaching out, but this just underscores just what we've been talking about since 2020 and before. There is an issue with deaths at the hands of police or in the custody of police, and we need to address it in this state as well as in the nation. So hopefully local elected officials and national elected officials will hear the name Brianna Grier and organize with the community to make changes so no other family feels the pain that this family feels. And you have to understand, you know, Brianna's not coming home, and somebody's going to have to take care of those beautiful 3-year-old little girls. And it's incumbent upon us, the community of conscience, the community of care, to take care of them and make sure that they get answers and justice for their mother.
We are thinking about her little girls and everyone who loves her. Attorney Gerald Griggs, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.